So in the business of vlogging, you're really shooting solo and just going about filming your day. And what that means is you need a system that is efficient and simple to use so that you can actually go out and vlog as much as possible. See, the thing is, making one vlog is honestly quite easy, but making a vlog every day, every week for an extended period of time, now that's what's actually difficult. And if you're really serious about it, a lot of times what you need is a camera on you at all times. Now, there's a lot of different options for this. Some people fully commit to their cameras, some people use action cameras, and recently there's been like the DJI Osmo camera, but for myself, I always seem to come back to using my iPhone, and that's, I think, for one reason, because it's always in my pocket. Like maybe 10-15 years ago, it wasn't that common to always have a camera on you, but nowadays, basically everyone is walking around with a professional level camera. Phones these days have gotten so good to the point where I shoot a lot of my YouTube videos and insert a lot of clips into my vlogs shot straight off my iPhone. So today, on the topic of camera equipment, I wanted to take you guys through my very minimalistic vlogging setup for days when I don't carry my entire camera setup but still want a solid A cam, as well as share some tips and sample shots on how you can integrate your iPhone clips into your YouTube workflow. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you to MOFT for sponsoring this video. So to start off, what does my minimal camera setup actually consist of? It really is just my iPhone, a case, and this magnetic MOFT tripod. I typically will vlog using the wide angle lens on the back, which means I just flip it around and film myself like so. The main reason I went for the iPhone 16 Pro was because it shoots in the Apple ProRes log profile, which just allows me to color grade it to my heart's content and kind of match it to the footage that comes out of other cameras. The fact that there's three lenses on here, a 13, 24, and 120 millimeters, basically covers the range of all shots that I would want to get. And I know that you can add a lot more to this setup, like a cage, some handles, filter adapters, lenses, and microphones, but that kind of defeats the cinematic minimal vlogging setup I want. For example, this is a full-size ND filter. I know you have attachments that can do this, but once you do that, it kind of ruins the shape of the iPhone and completely defeats the purpose of having a minimal setup that is always in my pocket. And for that reason, I just rely on the built-in camera app, the built-in lenses, and also the built-in microphones, which are actually surprisingly good. So this accessory has kind of become a core part of this iPhone setup, and I don't really think about it anymore because it's so slim, and that's honestly the point. It attaches magnetically and unfolds just like this, and with one finger you can convert it into a tripod. Now, if I was a short form vertical content creator, this would be perfect, but because I'm on YouTube and that's my bread and butter, I typically will film like this. Now, there's a few different ways I'll use this for filming, either as a tripod where I can set up my shots and find the right angle like this, or when I'm walking around, I can bend the hinge back and shoot in my typical vlogging mode like so. And finally, there's like the stand mode, which I can use for filming vertical video again, or just using it as a little stand on my desk. Minimal and super functional, which totally aligns with the ethos of having this always in my pocket. So let me show you what this all looks like when I'm out shooting, and also some shots that you might want to incorporate into your next video. And of course, these are actual shots that you can get on your iPhone with this setup. These are things that I genuinely use and I think drive your story forward, because usually you don't want an entire video of just B-roll or just talking head. You need to create a visually engaging story, and I think the easiest way to do that is by switching up your camera angles. Alright, so whenever I'm walking somewhere, I always like to grab a few walking shots, and this is like your typical set up your camera, walk by the camera, go back, grab the camera. And I know it might feel a little bit awkward to grab the shot sometimes just because of what you're actually doing, but the results speak for themselves, and it really helps you transition from scene to scene. This is really just the perfect way to show your audience that the setting is changing and that you are moving from location 1 to location 2, and I'll show you how I do it. Once I get the tripod set up, it really is as simple as just finding your angle. So things that you want to keep in mind, you always want to walk from the same side of the screen to the same. So if you're always doing right to left, you want to stick from right to left, because if in shot 1 you're doing right to left and then in shot 2 you're doing left to right, then it doesn't actually look like you went anywhere to an audience member. So just keep that in mind. So then the classic vlogging shot where you're filming yourself and walking around. It's really simple. I flip the tripod around, go into 0.5 mode, put my arm out as far as it goes, and you get a pretty solid angle. Now this shot is really good because it allows you to talk to the viewer, and you can actually say whatever you need to say while you're en route to your next location. So it kind of combines a transition scene as well as like a A-roll talking head scene together. And I think this is one of the more unique shots that you'll find on YouTube specific to vlogging. Next, you have your static shots, which contradict the run and gun chaotic style of shots you typically see in vlog. Like when you're holding the camera out in front of you, these are slower, completely static, and allow allow you to easily explain things. So this is where I'll typically like to put my educational segments. If there's something really important that I need to say, chances are I'll do it on a locked off shot like this. Again, super easy to set up, but the entire idea is that you want to create a visually interesting and engaging story. And by using a lot of different shots, even when you're shooting solo and combining that motion of, holding the camera in your hand, vlogging at an arm's length, and then putting this shot afterwards, it just creates that kind of cool dynamic that makes your video a lot more interesting to watch. I find it also works best if you can find some nice composition. Right now, I'm hiding by this bench under this tree because the direct sunlight is kind of killing me. It was also raining like 10 seconds ago, you guys saw it, and now it's direct sunny blue sky. Let me show you this. Craziness, bro. Again, there's a lot of ways you can get static shots. The last one, I was doing it on a park bench, so I just set it up in tripod mode. But again, anything that you can just put your phone on, mount your camera to, allows you to get a static shot. All right, so these are some classic shots that I like to get whenever I'm outside working, specifically posted up in a coffee shop. I find that a lot of the times in those crowded environments, it's always most convenient to just pull out my phone. And specifically, if I'm trying to shoot an entire scene, I want more than just one working shot. And typically this is like computer work, so there's a few general shots I like to get. I like to get a few shots with my hands on the keyboard, small, medium, wide, just typing away, editing, doing whatever that is. With the tripod, it's super easy to set up and grab the shot quickly. Next, I'll probably grab a few more medium or wide shots with my face in it, and I like to frame these kind of off-centered so that if I need to, I can put text on it. I like to put timestamps in my vlog, so that means that I kind of want the center of the frame to be a little bit more empty, a little more blank space, so that I can casually throw in a timestamp there and it doesn't cover anything important like my laptop or my face. This is also a fun and simple trick. You can play with like foreground and backgrounds, so I like to use the corner of my laptop kind of as a bit of foreground to play with, put it nice and close to the camera, and then you get a little bit more depth in your shot. So next time you're trying to shoot a little bit of working B-roll, try those tips out and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with it. So some interesting final thoughts here. Since many of the shots that you grab using a tripod are completely static, what I like to do when I'm editing is add a slight zoom. Think of like a post-production push in or pull out, and typically only like 5%. It's super simple. I'm very certain that you could do it in any editing software, even iMovie supports it. It's a nice and easy way of making your video feel a little bit more dynamic even when you're out shooting solo. Now on your phone, I know there's also apps that allow you to use it more so like a professional camera, allowing you to control settings like ISO, white balance, shutter speed, and I have those apps downloaded on my phone, but funny enough, time after time, I always go back to just using the regular built-in camera app. And that's because it's the easiest thing to access. Straight from the home screen, I can just swipe right and get to the camera, and within like half a second, I could be shooting. And finally, the best tip I could give to any beginner when it comes to shooting B-roll is just to grab as many shots as possible in as many different variations as possible. So whenever I'm grabbing a shot, I'm always thinking to myself, can I get 3 different versions of this shot? A tight, a medium, and a wide. And again, especially with the different lenses that you get on an iPhone, you should be actively trying to use all 3 of those whenever you're out shooting. So I always try and challenge myself to do that because it's easier to spend a little bit of extra time when I'm outside shooting and get that shot than it is to try and make up for it when I'm editing. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's how-to video. I really hope that you were able to grab some ideas and inspiration for your next video from this. Thank you again to MOFT for supporting this channel and sponsoring this video. You guys can check out their products in the link in description. I think for anyone shooting lifestyle content these days, having this sort of tripod that's just always on you and allows you to quickly pull out your phone and shoot is super, super important. If you have any more questions about shooting your own videos, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to respond. Don't overcomplicate things, just grab your phone, grab whatever gear you have and get out there and get shooting. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next one.